I've just stared at the sun and the ocean for 20 minutes. And it's my first time seeing the ocean, this Pacific Ocean, in about a year, more than a year. And seeing an ocean since May, and it's August now, so the point is I've just stared at the sun, and my voice wishes to speak and translate whatever it is I've just received from the sun. And the words that were coming through earlier and which are coming through now, I will allow myself simply to speak as though this camera wasn't even there, because the camera makes me uncomfortable. So I'm speaking to the ocean and to the sun and to the sky and to myself and to these clips and to you. And from staring at the sun for 20 minutes, the words that emerge are something akin to the degree of abundance which you will receive and feel within your experience of reality is causally correlated to how authentically you embody your own self, your true and authentic self in the world. The more you allow yourself to be, the more the universe provides that which you need to be who you need to be who you are. And this is a universal law. If you look at this flower, which I believe is yarrow, but I'm not entirely sure. So don't necessarily quote me on that unless I'm correct. This yarrow was first a seed, which also came from a different yarrow, which was planted in the soil. And this doesn't even look like soil, it's like whatever, soil. Some kind of material that contains nutrients. The universe. And God designed the seed of the yarrow to become a yarrow. The authentic self of the yarrow is this flower. And if that seed was planted somewhere in the universe, somewhere in the ground, and it tried to become a rose, it tried to become a daffodil, a hydrangea, a lily, a lotus. It could try and try and try and try, and it would never succeed. And the universe would not be able to assist this yarrow seed in becoming another kind of flower. The yarrow is meant to be a yarrow. The yarrow seed is intended by God and the earth to be a yarrow. And the rose is meant to be a rose, and an acorn is meant to be an oak tree. And a blackberry seed is meant to be a blackberry bush and a blackberry. And so on. And that same exact principle applies to you. I am a Carl seed. Well, started off as one. And within that seed, within the blueprint of my being, there is a particular form that I am meant to instantiate. And on my process of self-discovery, I'm discovering that language has a lot to do with that. With that blueprint of who I am. Voice. Linguistic exploration of truth. And parenthetically, though maybe it's not so parenthetical, we are embodiments of our ancestries and our ancestral lineages through our parents. And my mother was a very mystical being and still is. And my father was a translator of poetry and a very linguistic being, a language person, a literary person. And I was lovingly created from those two blueprints of being, a deeply intuitive, mystical person and a deeply intellectual, literary, linguistic person, combined into this body so that I become a translator of the mystical experience of deep, intuitive, mystical experience. With the use of language, with the art of language. And I'm still discovering the depths of my design as it relates to this convergence of two ancestral streams, as well as it relates to its own stream, being its own soulful river of becoming. And the point is, you also are that, a convergence of two ancestral rivers into one river. And you take some from each of your parents within your nature, and then you have your own eccentricities and unique instantiations of your own soulful self. And the soul transcends the material plane, though it also embodies it. So it doesn't, like, you don't have to get everything from your parents. Your blueprint is something which must be discovered in the places that feel most resonant to you, where you see and discover your own blueprints. It could be astrological. It could be astrological. It could be heart-centered. What makes your heart sing? What makes your heart feel alive? In fact, that is the most essential way to discover who you are. It can be discovered by asking yourself asking God, asking the animistic energies which surround and constitute the world, and you. And what it comes down to in this oscillation and interplay between your inner nature and the nurture of the symbiotic enmeshment that you have with the world, what within your own nature and what within your nurture, so to speak, is truly authentic to who you are. I, on the nurture side, feel at peace, feel alive when I'm in the mountains, when I'm in the forest, when I'm near the ocean, when I'm in true, untouched nature. And chances are you also would feel that way. And when I'm in the supermarket with the bright fluorescent lights and all of the poison that is sold in all of those aisles, and the energetic traces of enslavement in the inverted currency system to which all of that food is attached, as opposed to the natural blooming abundance of the world. In those places, I feel insane. In that nurture, in that nourishment, in that symbiotic relationship, I feel suppressed. I feel like that is not myself. I feel like that part of the world doesn't feel in coherence with the depth, the soulful depth, the harmonious depth, the blueprint of who and what I am. And if you're watching this video, you're very likely similar. You feel similarly about yourself and the world. Maybe you don't, but chances are you do. And in places, there is a tiny little millipede or centipede that is so beautiful and adorable. But I'm just going to let it live its life. Within the realm of nurture and symbiotic interaction and exchange of self with world and co-constitution, co-creation of the self that you are and that you become in the world, as you dig within yourself and within the world for the blueprints of your being, for the truth of what you are, the absolute soulful authenticity which you wish to bring out of yourself into the world, you also have to do the work of discerning the conditioning that comes from your symbiotic enmeshments with the world. What has been imposed upon you that does not belong to you, that is not you? What has been taught to you as something that you are, such as, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a stockbroker, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to work at a grocery store, I want to be a mechanical engineer. Like, is that truly aligned to the authenticity of who you are? Or is it conditioning that was so deeply imposed into your psyche and into your psychosomatic field of being that then you started gaslighting yourself into believing that that's who you are? And then you chose to be a yarrow that tried to be a fucking rose. And then the universe makes your life a struggle and doesn't provide abundance in the ease with which a flower blooms. Maybe you're mechanically inclined, but that doesn't mean you have to be a mechanical engineer. Maybe that mechanical inclination means you want to build something beautiful, something that has a breath of spirit in it, of your own spirit. I'm not super excited about that example, but what I'm trying to convey, very simply, going back to the original point, is that the more you dig through the layers of the conditioning and you reach that eternal pearl of who you truly are in your full authentic self, and you learn what it is, and you learn how to channel that, and you create containers to offer that to the world. For me, it's voice. Containers wherein my voice can be heard, can be read, can be listened to, can be dived into, whatever that word correctly imposed is. Finding creative vessels for the authenticity of yourself to express itself in the world and to say, I am here, I am now, and I simply am, and I embody this I am authentically, and I present it to the world reverently, in reverence and gratitude to the Creator, which gave me this authenticity, which gave me this blueprint of my being, which gave me this soul and this breath of life. And I offer it and present it reverently to the world, reverentially, as a reverie. And let our reveries and our lives become more ethereal, dreamlike, as in the blooming of a flower, and its simplicity and its beauty and the absolute assurance that absolutely everything that flower needs, the sun, the rain, the soil, the wind, the nutrients, the love, the present love of the divinity from which it came, all of them are always simply provided, given freely. You don't have to pay your little paper dollars with Illuminati symbols on them and saying in false gods we trust. The flower just receives the sun and the rain and everything that it needs, and the universe and God simply provide. Because the flower is not trying to become something that it is not. It's not trying to go be a fucking wage slave somewhere. It's not trying to go be a stockbroker, or I have tried to fucking trade cryptocurrency and I've had like some kind of success materially with it, but I would feel so fucking drained doing that. I would feel like my soul is being sapped. And that is me trying to be something other than who I am. And not only other, but opposite. And every time that I work in jobs that do not feel soulfully aligned, I feel dead. I feel drained. And I feel like I am trying to be something that I'm not. And I feel like some part of me has to. But that is a denial of a universal law of nature that states that a yarrow seed becomes a yarrow, and a rose turns into a rose, and you turn into yourself. And I become myself. And we all become ourselves authentically. And we ripple out this authenticity and share it with one another. And that is how we feel and embody and step into the absolute infinite and free, in both senses of the word, abundance of the world and of our souls and of our hearts. So, that was a long-winded way of saying the very first thing I said. The more you become who you authentically are, the more your natural abundance, which is your birthright, will come into being freely, fluidly, with ease and grace and divine love. Because all of these forces, ease, grace, divine love, abundance, they are the world and they are you, yourself. So, become who you are, and the universe and God will make sure that you have absolutely everything you need to continuously embody the flower of your soul and of your heart. So, that's what wanted to come through from a communion with the sun and the ocean. I hope you enjoyed this, and much love to you. Be blessed.